We have finished our preview of every team going to the World Cup, and there's only one thing left to do. Pick the score of every single match at the tournament. We're going to do that right now, and not only are we doing it right now, I'm doing it in public. Dangerous, scary, edgy. We are doing this live on stream. If you ever want to join the stream, the link is down in the description. It is the Twitch link, and you can say hi to all of these wonderful people that are watching a YouTube video be recorded live. So we are picking each one of these matches. We're going to start in Group A. In the first match is Senegal, Netherlands. Chat. That's not even the first match. The first match is Qatar, Ecuador. It's not in the right order. If you want to do this as well, this is not like a sponsorship or anything, but this is the website that allows you to pick the score of each match. The link is at the top of the description. The first match is Qatar against Ecuador. I am inclined to think that Qatar is actually going to do well, but this is such a weird World Cup. But Qatar and Ecuador, I'm going to give this to Ecuador. I think it's actually a pretty boring match, which is unfortunate. I'm going to go 1-0 to Ecuador, chat. What are you saying? You 2-0, 3-0 Ecuador? I'm going 1-0. I'm going 1-0. This one, though, Netherlands, Senegal, I'm feeling the Netherlands. Now, the news just came out that Sadio Mane is not going to be available for the Senegalese national team. The Dutch are going to be full of exuberance, right? They're going to be lively. Their defense is great. Without Sadio Mane, I think Senegal's having a real hard time scoring. I think this is a good game into the second half. And then I think the Netherlands grabs a couple of goals late. I'm going to say 3-0 to the Netherlands. They're going to be really happy to be back at the World Cup. And I think this game will be their free-flowing, fun moment. We go into the second match day. That starts with Qatar against Senegal. I have a hard time believing a host nation's not going to get a point. And if they're going to get a point, it's this match. I'm leaning 2-2. And if it is 2-2 in real life, it's going to drive me nuts. So I'm going to go with 2-2. Netherlands, Ecuador. I think this is a fabulously interesting game. Ecuador is good. They drew Brazil in qualifying. Does the Dutch defense do enough? I'm actually, you know what I'm feeling? You're going to love this. 0-0. I don't think anybody scores in this game. And the last two matches are at the same time. I don't think Netherlands is going to concede a goal on the group stage. I'm going to go with a 4-0. I think Netherlands does run away with this, kind of similar to what we saw Russia against Saudi Arabia at the last World Cup. I think that Netherlands does run away with this late. I think they get control of it. I don't think they concede. I think Netherlands got one of the best defenses in the tournament. I would say, if not the best, but their goalkeepers are not at the same level as some of the other top defenses. And then this is the match where I want to believe in Senegal here. Senegal would need to win by 2 in order to get out of the group stage with the results that have been played so far. So I'm feeling a 1-1. I'm absolutely feeling a 1-1 in this game. I think Senegal is playing pride. I think Ecuador is going to get the second spot. I think Senegal misses Sadio Mane and the ability to separate from the teams they're playing against. So I'm going 1-1. It looks like a lot of chats agreeing with that. So I have Netherlands, Ecuador, Senegal, and Qatar. That brings us to Group B. Oh, yeah. England and Iran. 1-0. Harry Kane penalty, 107th minute after 17 minutes of added time. England wins on a penalty. That is how this works. United States and Wales. I'm going to go 0-0. I think that we play like the most boring game in the history of the World Cup, and that match is 0-0. I think the U.S. plays a super defensive style. I think Wales plays a super defensive style. I think that we scuttle the game. Maybe we score on a set piece, but I don't think there's any goal in that game. That brings us to Wales and Iran. Super interesting game here. I love Iran's front two. Sardar Azmoun, Mehdi Taremi, those guys can play. Problem with Iran is the same problem Wales has, is you've got like 1 or 2 guys, and then the rest of the team is just from a level that's not quite good enough. I absolutely agree. I think this is the Gareth Bale game, and I think that what that means is that Wales is going to win this 3-2. No, 2-1. I trust my gut on this. It's 2-1. Wales wins it 2-1, not 3-2. I'm not going crazy. Then we have England and the United States. Now, this is pretty obviously, the score is going to be 76-17. United States, of course, scoring the 76 goals. The United States of America! Yeah! Actual score of this game, I think that the United States loses this game. And it makes me sad because I want us to win, but I think England's going to be so freaking fired up for this game. I think it's 2-1. I think the U.S. takes the lead and we go nuts and then we blow it. I think England comes back and wins. I think both these matches are 2-1 for entirely different reasons. I think the U.S. takes an early lead. I think it's like Weston McKennie on a corner, and then we're going nuts. I'm throwing beers across the bar, and then England is able to come back and get a result. And that brings us to a final match day that pits Wales against England, and I think the English are going to keep this momentum rolling. And I think England actually shows up and delivers the boom. For the first game in this tournament, I think this is the first game in this tournament that England delivers the boom. And I think United States-Iran is a 1-0 win for the U.S., which would sneak the United States out of this group with 4 points and a better goal difference than Wales. I think this is the way that it ends up playing out. The U.S. gets 2 goals for and 2 goals against in Berhalter fashion and gets out of the group. We're off the stream. I guess that gives me a chance to open my mystery football shirt from Mystery Football. And we have a link at the top of the description that allows you to get a discount on ordering your own mystery shirt delivered to your door. They're a long-time exclusive partner of this channel, and they have contributed to the vast majority of my kit collection. So I am very excited to see what we have in the mail this month. Let's give it an open, shall we? So I generally always try to approach this without scissors as a test of manhood. And I've learned that you can just pop it off on the side. Where's the fun in that? We want to open, we want to do the big reveal. I'm not looking. I feel like it started to unveil itself. All right, the new kit from Mystery Football. What is that? Oh, that's a color. What is this? The Las Vegas Lights. The Las Vegas Lights from the USL Championship in my own freaking country, and I have no idea who this team is. But that is a sick kit. Okay, that is cool. The Las Vegas Lights. That is such a good kit. Shout out to the Las Vegas Lights, a well-named club, by the way. And if you want to get your own mystery shirt from Mystery Football, discount at the link at the top of the description. They're one of the sponsors that allows us to do all of the crazy stuff we do, like making 32 World Cup preview videos in 32 days. If you haven't seen that, you should probably check it out. We preview every team. But back to the stream and my perfect predictions. All right, Group C. We have Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. Argentina plays Saudi Arabia. I think this is a problem. I think this is an immediate problem for the entirety of Saudi Arabia, and I think Newcastle is going to feel this one. Argentina is one of the favorites for the tournament. They're outstanding. I think Saudi Arabia is arguably the worst team in the tournament, assessing who they are, what they accomplished at the last World Cup, and so on. They've done a really good job to make it to back-to-back World Cups, but I think they're going to get boomed. Mexico and Poland. I think this is the classic game for Poland to lose and Mexico to win. This Mexican national team might not be the best Mexican national team that has existed, but I am going to go 2-1 to Mexico. I think that Poland, they're missing Jakub Moder in the midfield. That hurts. Lewandowski is going to once again be asked to carry a lot of the load because players like Sebastian Szymanski haven't come through enough to be able to carry it. Zielinski, I like Zielinski, but I'm thinking it's Mexico. I think that Chucky Lozano and Tecatito Corona are able to and Raul Jimenez are able to will Mexico to a result. And the second match day, I think Poland plays Saudi Arabia. This has got the classic feel of a Poland letdown. A really, really classic feel of a Poland letdown, but I'm going to go with a 3-1. I think Saudi Arabia is going to have a really bad World Cup. This is not an easy group. There is no team that they are going to be able to touch really closely. But I think Poland's just better, and I think that Poland's going to play with too much pride. Like, this is a tough group for Saudi Arabia. Poland is going to win this. Argentina and then Mexico. What are you guys thinking? I'm feeling, Tecatito is out, as we just learned from chat. Tecatito's not going. I think Argentina's going to end up with 9 points in this group, right? Because I'm feeling 2-0 over Mexico. Actually, 6 points. They're kind of already safe. Do we pick Poland for the sneak point here? I think it's a rotated match. I think Argentina ends in a draw. And I think Mexico's going nuts. I think I want this game to be incredibly interesting and nerve-wracking, right? Because Saudi Arabia has a few guys like Al-Muwallad that can cause a problem, and Mexico's defense is a little compared to what it used to be, right? They don't have their best players on the back anymore. I'm thinking 2-1 to Mexico. So we have Argentina, Mexico, Poland, and Saudi Arabia. That's a pretty good-looking group based off of what I would have thought is going to happen here. So I have Argentina on 7, Mexico on 6, Poland on 4, and Saudi Arabia on 0. Okay, Group D. France, Australia, Denmark, and Tunisia. I have been incredibly vocal about how separated I believe this group to be. I believe that France and Denmark are 2 of the top 7 teams with a chance to win this World Cup. Top 7 or 8 teams. And obviously France is top 2 or 3. And I believe that Australia is the worst Australian team we've seen at the World Cup. They finished a point ahead of Oman in qualifying. They needed a late goal to beat the UAE in the playoff. They cheesed a penalty shootout win over Peru to get here. I don't think Australia is good at all at this World Cup. I know a lot of Aussies agree with me. I love the Aussies, but I've had a lot of Aussies that commented on the video I made about Australia that said that they agreed with me. I think Denmark gets going slow. I'm feeling a 1-0 in the opening match. I think Tunisia is able to keep it interesting for a while, but I do firmly believe that Denmark's going to win that. I think that we're getting like a 4-1 between France and Australia. I think Australia is not going to be able to give France the game it gave them 4 years ago. I don't think that'll happen. They don't have the same tools they had 4 years ago. 4 years ago, they were the reigning Asian champions. Now, they're not. And they're going to be in trouble against France because France has weaponry. They added the Ballon d'Or winner to the World Cup champions. That's a problem. Tunisia and Australia are playing each other. I think this ends 2-1 to Tunisia. I think Tunisia... No. What am I saying? This is 1-0. This has 1-0 all over it. Tunisia's defense has my undying respect for what they were able to do to Mali, so I think they win this 1-0, and they park the Mack truck. And Tunisia, I think, is going to pick up the win, and that obviously means Australia is working very far up the hill. It is 1-0 to Tunisia. Wabi Kazri scoring the goal. France and Denmark, this is a draw. I think we draw this 2-2. I think this is going to be a great match. I think it's a draw. I'm putting 2-2, France and Denmark, and then Tunisia and France. This does feel like a game that France is going to give up a goal in, so I think 3-1. I believe in France's offense so much. This is Tunisia's chance, though. I think they'll get a goal. Wabi Kazri's too good, and they'll sub set piece or something. They'll scuttle the ball into the back of the net. I think Tunisia does get a goal. Oh. What do I think is going to happen in this game? Denmark against Australia. We're going to tap into the vein of the future. No, I'm not getting anything. I wanted to say 2-0. I'm going to say 2-0. And that puts France top of the group on goal difference over Denmark in this situation. And Tunisia is there, and Australia finishing on 0 points, unfortunately. Now, my groups have not been messy enough typically for the World Cup. We've got Netherlands, Ecuador, Senegal, Qatar, England, USA, Wales, and Iran. And then we have Argentina, Mexico, Poland, and Saudi Arabia, and then France, Denmark, Tunisia, and Australia. That brings us to Group E. I'm going to warn you right now, I'm going to go wild in this group. Spain and Germany are like the same team, and they're both kind of broken, right? Spain's totally in between generations. Germany is struggling, right? They're in their worst run of form. Euros round of 16, World Cup got grouped. Nations League, they weren't sparkling. I'm going wild. This is 1-1 right here. I'll tell you right now, Spain and Costa Rica is 1-1. Costa Rica's form at the end of World Cup qualifying was terrifying. They were so good. I think this is 2-1. I think Germany finds a way to win the opening match over Japan, a la Germany-Sweden at the last World Cup, right? I think they gut it out and they feel a sense of calm that is unfair. And then I think Japan shows up and beats Costa Rica 1-0. And so this group just gets thrown into an absolute disarray. This is a huge game, Spain and Germany. And I actually think that this ends up in a wild 3-2 Spain win. I think this is one of like the matches of the tournament. I think Spain wins it. Wake up call after the Costa Rica result. They're letting it fly. They're controlling the game. Germany has goals in its team. I think Germany gets it. I'm going 3-2. I think this is a great match. And then we get to the final day, and I think things get super fun on the final day. I'll tell you what I think this score is going to be. I think that match is ending 0-0. I think Costa Rica keeps Germany out. Germany gets frustrated, struggles to score 0-0. Now, I think we get a great game here. I think it finishes 2-2, and I think Spain and Germany do get out of the group. Group F, Belgium, Canada, Morocco, Croatia. Another very interesting group. A very interesting group that starts with Morocco, Croatia, where we will immediately figure out whether Croatia is for real at this World Cup, and I absolutely believe that they are. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 for Croatia over Morocco to open World Cup play. I think it's 2-1. I respect Morocco. I think Morocco is good. They are good. They qualified the easiest out of anybody out of Africa. Hakeem Ziyech's back in the fold because they got a new manager. They're good. Belgium and Canada. I think it's a De Bruyne masterclass. I'm afraid that I think similarly. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily De Bruyne, but I think Belgium picks up the 3 points. I think they're able to beat Canada. I think Canada gets probably a rude awakening. Lukaku is a pub stomper. You know what I mean by that? Like, against world-class teams, he's hit or miss, but against teams that aren't world-class, i.e. Canada, he is dominant. And so him being out really does change this a little bit. I think they cheat. I'm literally going to change it by a goal. I'm going to say 1-0. All right, Belgium and Morocco. I think Morocco and Belgium end up in a draw. I think we get a 1-1 out of this game. Belgium and Morocco. Morocco, you can't sleep on them. They're like the Gouda. You can't sleep on the Gouda. You can't sleep on Morocco. Canada and Croatia. I think this might be where Canada picks its points. So I think that this game's going to turn into a bucket of fun. I think we end up with a 2-1 to Canada. I think Canada picks up 3 points and everybody's going nuts. at this point. That's the most ridiculous pick that I've put on. 2-2. I think you get chaos in these last matches more so than usual because you got to start pushing. I think we get a 2-2 draw between Croatia and Belgium. I think Morocco beats Canada 2-1, and as a result, you do end up with Belgium, Croatia, Morocco, Canada. But that's that group. We're on to the next one. Group G. Here you go. Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. Oh, yeah. This is going to be fun. Switzerland 1-0 over Cameroon. We'll start it off hot. Swiss struggle to score goals, but they're definitely better than Cameroon. I don't think Cameroon's very good. That I'm on the record saying that. They stunned Algeria to get here, but they struggled in the AFCON. I watched them, and I think they're a limited team when it comes to playing on this stage. Brazil and Serbia is going to be fun. I think Serbia plays scared. I feel bad for saying that. I want to pick it 3-2, but Serbia plays really defensively at World Cups. Follow my heart. Serbia turns over a new leaf. Brazil wins it, but it's 3-2. It's a shootout. I think Brazil jumps out to a 3-1 lead, and then Serbia scores late to try and make it spicy. I'm not seeing a game where Serbia has the lead at any point, but where Serbia is in pursuit. Now we have Cameroon and Serbia. I think Serbia's front line is too good. I believe that generally every team's going to score a goal at the tournament. I think Cameroon gets its goal in a match against Serbia, but Serbia picks up the 3 points against Cameroon. Brazil and Switzerland, never, ever, ever sleep on them. Never sleep on the Swiss. If you study the Swiss national team, this is the game they always draw every single time. They didn't lose in the group stage of the last World Cup either. These three teams, Serbia, Brazil, and Switzerland, were all in the same group. Swiss drew Brazil. I have a really hard time picking Brazil to win this game. Now, look, Brazil's going into playing Cameroon. I think it's a 4-0, just like it was 8 years ago. I think Brazil's going to win the group. I think if there's one match they don't win, it's Switzerland. And you guys will be looking at me like, Zealand, you were right. I don't know how you knew it, but Zealand, you were right. Now, there are two Serbian people that are part of the Zealand team, Elizak and Gadget, and they're going to be very happy with what I have to say next. Mitrovic and Vlahovic will be as fit for any game in this tournament by December 2nd. And so if that front line of Tadic, Vlahovic, and Mitrovic is fit, I think we get a 2-0 to Serbia that moves Serbia into the World Cup knockouts for the first time ever. I have Brazil very comfortably getting out of this group. End of the day, they just take care of business against Cameroon to win the group, and Serbia is able to beat Switzerland to get itself into the knockouts. Big believer in that revenge arc. And that brings us to Group H, which I find fascinating because Portugal struggled obviously in qualifying. Uruguay pulled itself free late. I actually am a believer in them. Ghana added Iñaki Williams and Tariq Lamptey to their team that I thought was the worst team at this World Cup when they qualified initially. And then I have South Korea as this random dark horse. 14 of their 26 players play in the K-League, but they have some guys from Lee Kong-in to Son Heung-min to Kim Min-jae, the center back for Napoli. They have what feels like a few more guys than they normally do. And so this group has the potential to be tremendously interesting. I don't feel like it will actually end up being tremendously interesting. That is the feeling I've had. Uruguay is going to be rolling with Darwin Nunez, Luis Suarez, Edinson Cavani in some combination up front. They do have Federico Valverde, who I believe is going to have an emergent World Cup as an attacking midfielder. He's an incredible athlete. He bags goals in the Liga for Real Madrid. I think he's going to be a real focal point. This feels for all the world like I don't think Hwang Ui-jo and Hwang Yi-chan are going to be able to make the magic happen in this opening game with Son. I think it's Uruguay 1, South Korea 0. I think Portugal wins this one 2-0. And I think we end up with a pretty straightforward start to this group that pins South Korea and Ghana in a match where they've just got to go out and get a win. I think that we end up with these two teams matched up against each other and somebody's got to go get a win. I think Portugal is going to win that match fairly comfortably. Now, Ghana's got a sneaky good defense, but the issue for Ghana is you talk about goalkeeper situations. Wallacott, their starting goalkeeper, is out too. He's hurt. So, and he was already not great. So they're going with a guy who plays for St. Gallen in Switzerland. The best I could find is that's who they think is going to start. But they haven't, the only guy they started in the run up to the World Cup that wasn't Wallacott didn't even make the squad. So I think Portugal beats Ghana, and then you end up with a Portugal-Uruguay match, which is really going to decide who ends up winning the group. You have South Korea and Ghana matching up against each other. And I think this is where South Korea being good comes into play. I think South Korea is going to win this game. I think they're going to win it. No, I don't see Ghana not scoring. I wanted to say 3-2, but that feels weird. So I'm going to say 2-1. It feels like too many goals. I think Ghana is going to get a goal, but I think South Korea finds a way to win this. Portugal and Uruguay. This is one of the best matches, in my opinion, in the group stage. If it looks like a draw and it smells like a draw, it's a draw. I'm going to trust the hand. I'm going to go 1-1. South Korea and Portugal in a fabulously interesting game that could knock Portugal out. If this is how it falls, it's Portugal and South Korea for a spot in the knockouts, basically. I think we actually end up with I think we end up with one of those right there. I think we end up with a 0-0. I think despite all of the star power in this game, I think both teams go into this a little too tepid. And I think Portugal plays a very defensive style, and Korea's not able to break that down. I think we go with a 0-0. So that's what I have. I have Portugal there, and then I do have Uruguay winning this game. Uruguay's got those forwards. I think Uruguay's actually going to be able to win this group, and that puts Portugal in a really tough spot. So that brings us to the knockouts, which I actually don't know how to pick. It would be very disappointing if we weren't able to do that. We go to the notepad. Boom, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Netherlands and the US. The score is 1-0. I am not a homer. I do not think we're going to win this game. I absolutely don't think we're going to win this game. I think we will defend pretty well, but I think we are going to lose. I think we're going to lose at 1-0, and there is no chance we score against the Dutch. The next match, Argentina against Denmark. A fabulous match that ends 2-1 to Argentina. I love Denmark. I love this Denmark team. I don't think Argentina's losing that game. I don't think Argentina's losing that game. They had a great qualifying. They're very hard to beat. They know how to lock it down. So it's Argentina, Denmark. I think Argentina wins that game. That brings us to our next knockout match, which is Spain and Croatia. Dangerous game for Spain. And I know somebody said there's no real upsets. This is where Croatia lives. Croatia is, maybe it's just me, right? But in your brain, you think about certain teams that are historically very good as just the powers. And when you look at the results Croatia has had over the last, I think it was 12 years, they're objectively better than, I think it's like Germany and Spain. Not Spain, because you have like the residual end of their run of 3 straight major trophies, but their results are objectively better than some serious teams. Italy for sure. Croatia is actually one of the European powers of the sport. They don't look at Croatia that way because they haven't won anything, which is true, but Croatia is, like, result-wise there. And I think when you say that, I think it's also like, I think Croatia win. I think this is extra time, I think Croatia wins at 2-1. They're the international version of Spurs. Couldn't say it. Yeah. Yes. Now we have Brazil-Portugal, which is just a tasty game. I firmly believe Brazil is one of the favorites in this World Cup. I've said it's them and France. Those are the 2 best teams here. And Portugal has struggled recently. So you kind of know where I'm leaning. You kind of know where I'm leaning with this. But what I don't know is what score to give. I think we end up with a really limited game. I think Portugal knows how to keep it close in the knockouts. They have imminent knockout experience. I love guys like William Carvalho for that. I think we end up with a 1-0. I know I see a lot of people down there going with higher scores, but I think we end up with a 1-0 match. And that brings us to the other side of the bracket, where we have England and Ecuador. England getting a brutal draw as always. And I'm going full Gareth here. I'm going England 0, Ecuador 0, England on penalties. Full Gareth. Southgate, to be specific. I think it's England on penalties. Harry Maguire skies his. They win regardless. I think England struggles its way to the quarterfinal there. Okay, next match, France-Mexico. You already know what's happening here. I mean, I'm going to go France 2. I'm going to go 2-0. Mexico loses in the round of 16 for the, what is it, 8th time in a row. I've got France 2-0 all day. I think France handles this one fairly easily. I don't think Mexico has their best team at this World Cup. I wanted to go 3 or 4, but I do think Mexico can keep it close because of their technical ability. They're a tough team. They are, I know this from personal U.S. experience. They're a very difficult team to blow out. Belgium and Germany. I think this is where Belgium earns a lot of respect. I think Belgium wins this game. I'm going to go 3-2. I think we get a wild one. I don't know why I'm saying 1-0. I think Belgium wins this game. I think Germany continues to struggle to get back to its heights previously. This is a tough matchup for Germany. And I think Belgium grabs it. I mean, Belgium beat Brazil at the last World Cup. You can't knock it. And that brings us to Uruguay-Serbia, which based off our group stage match predictions is the most interesting round of 16 match here. I have a lot of respect for the Serbian team. Obviously, I picked them to get to the knockouts, but I'm going with Uruguay 2-0. And that brings us to Netherlands-Argentina. the Netherlands against Argentina in the quarterfinals. And I'm going to go with Argentina 2, Netherlands 0. But I have Argentina going through. And then we end up with Croatia against Brazil. And this is where I believe that Croatia's journey will end. I think Croatia gets a penalty, but they lose 3-1. Like Brazil's able to open it up a little bit. They look good. Croatia hits the end of the line again. Croatia's like the new Belgium, right? They can beat the best teams in the world, but they're not going to be able to go all the way. I think Brazil wins this one. So we end up with a Brazil-Argentina semifinal. Oh, sometimes the footballing gods smile upon you. Now we have England and France in the World Cup quarterfinal. That is a fabulous matchup. That is fabulous. I do think England's gonna struggle with this one. I think we get a wild one. I'm gonna go wild game here. I'm gonna go France 4, England 2. I think it opens up. I think it gets crazy out there. Emotions flying, hard tackling. I think France 4-2. And then we have Belgium and Uruguay for our wild card participant in the semifinals. It'll be Uruguay or Belgium. And this is interesting. Luis Suarez bites De Bruyne on the nose. Luis Suarez to bite De Bruyne on the nose. I wonder what odds you could get on that. I think that you are right. I think we are actually going to end up, I say you are right. I'm saying that to most of chat. I think that you are right. I think we get Uruguay on a 2-1. No, we were going to penalties. We're definitely going to penalties, but I think Uruguay wins it on pens. I think we get a penalty shootout. We needed a penalty shootout at this point in the tournament. Penalty shootout. Uruguay gets to the semifinal on pens, and they're there. And it's Uruguay and France. And the other semifinal is Argentina-Brazil, the Super Classico, in the World Cup semifinal. After much deliberation, we're going Brazil 2, Argentina 1. I will also so boldly say after extra time. I believe we will get extra time between Brazil and Argentina, and I believe Brazil will win. That is what I have. I think Brazil will win the game. I think that they're really good. I think Brazil is a really, really good team, and I believe that a Brazil-France final is what we are likely to see in this tournament. Obviously, I would love to see Messi win it, but I'm picking in a way that I'm trying to pick it so that I have the smallest of chances to have somehow miraculously picked the entire World Cup correctly. Will I be rooting for Messi? Definitely. But I think Brazil wins that after extra time. A famous goal from like Marquinhos on a set piece, just something unlikely. And I think Brazil gets to the final, wins the Super Classico. I think France is able to handle Uruguay. I think it ends up being, I think it's actually one of those matches that gets away from them. You know, where there's those matches where it was a good competitive match for a while, but then one team is able to like just kind of blow it out at the end. I think it's like France 1-0 until the 73rd, and then they score a couple goals. Kind of like they did against Switzerland before they gave up a couple and let them back in. So I have France and Brazil as my World Cup final. And on our trusty notepad, where we are being forced to pick the knockouts, my trusty notepad, we will pick the winner of the World Cup. Is it Brazil or is it a repeat for France? No. I'm feeling a 1-0. I was right in my mind the first time. World Cup finals are always weird. They don't play like any other match. I'm going 1-0. I'm going Brazil over France. I think Brazil wins the World Cup. And that is my complete picking every match World Cup prediction. Chat, on a scale of 1 being awful to 10 being great, how did I do? Say bye, YouTube. Thanks for joining. Bye.